what's up, and welcome back to another episode of Kopi with Wawan. And today I have a very special guest, Amelia.
Hi, my name's Amelia. How are you guys?
Yeah, so Amelia here she's a poet, spoken poet.
Yes.
She's a teacher. She's an educator.
Yes.
What else you got under that? But she's an author as well.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
I published a self-published book 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Blue Yamoja, right?
Yep.
Is that out anywhere for anybody to get?
No,
Atau
sorry.
Can we put it in like,
I haven't done a reprint yet. But
Okay.
yeah.
So it's a special kind of reprint. We're gonna look into that one.
Yeah,
right?
hopefully. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so Amelia, this is your first time being on the show. Okay, so just to give you a brief introduction of why I'm doing this series or these videos. Mainly for me, it's about experimenting, and it's about me having fun, lah. You know, and the bigger part of it is it's a learning process for me.
Yeah.
You know, because I've always wanted to do more creative stuff with my life. And we're kind of living in this day and age where you don't have any excuse to not produce something because
Create, don't hate, right?
Exactly. That's
say.
all of that. Yes.
Yeah.
That is the saying right now. So I think having that being part of the bigger reason why I'm doing this, it kind of aligns with the topic that I want to touch on today, which is on holistic education.
Yeah.
And also I want to briefly, maybe not briefly, up to us where you want to discuss it in deep on the whole art and science stream system in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I read about that.
you read about that, right? Yeah.
So
So
that's
that's
came out in the news.
exactly. So can you like briefly tell us how does arts and science stream work in Malaysia? What does that even mean? You know, the subject, the schooling system.
Well, when I went to high school here, almost 10 years ago. Yeah.
I'm older, man.
I know. It's just one of those things when it hits you and be like, what have I done with my life? But anyway, put that aside.
Yeah.
So when I went to high school here, I was in science stream. But, and science stream had physics, chemistry, biology, I think that was it, right?
That was it,
And then your
yes,
core
yes,
papers,
yes,
which is the papers that you have to take regardless of what stream you go to.
Yeah.
And then there's art stream, right? Where you did like
Econs, accounts,
literature.
Yes.
And then accounts and is that perdagangan as well?
Perdagangan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I thought was pretty, I don't know, when I grew up, I was pretty sad about it because I was always a creative, but I was always interested in science. So I wanted to learn about chemistry, but also I wanted to do an art project, like submit in like an art project,
Okay.
Which I think you can, but it's just, it's really hard because all of the classes like clash with each other and they
don't accommodate to that.
Yeah, they don't really accommodate to it being flexible enough for me to take. Like if I want to take accounts, for example, like I wouldn't be able to do that because my class in biology would clash with that. You know? For example, for my case, that was it. So I felt like it was very limiting as a person. Like it really limited my options as to what I can explore. And at 17. You're thinking about, okay, I need these papers so that I can get into this stream. So I can get into this course at university. I think that was how I planned it, at least. Like I wanted to get into
a specific course.
So I needed I needed physics, I needed biology.
And it's easier to get scholarship with those subjects too, right?
Yeah, I think so, because I think there's a perception going on. Like there's I don't see a lot of art scholarships. I don't see.
No, there's not a lot. There really isn't.
Not that I'm like it's not widespread.
No, it's not. It's not. I know a few, but handful, and usually how they got their scholarship is by like writing to like 1 million people before they can finally So they need to know somebody, or like they need somebody to at least entertain that request. Because if you're just blindly sending an application, people just ignore you. So it's
And it's, I don't know, I feel like it's sad because there's a whole other side of your brain as well that you can also develop,
Okay.
Right brain and left brain.
Okay.
Maybe we focus on just one side, like the maths and science side. And I feel like, it limits you as a person as well, because there's a lot of things that I learned personally and about myself through art.
Okay.
And I wasn't exposed to art until I left Malaysia and got into a foundation school in New Zealand. So that was where I was like, I can finally do science and I can do arts as well. So I took art as just to like because I can.
As
basically.
a subject?
As a subject,
as
as
formally
my core.
you
Yeah.
take like,
Yeah.
okay,
So I took
they allowed that.
English.
Okay.
Yeah, I took English. I took physics. I took calculus. I took statistics.
Statistics.
Yeah. Because I took statistics. I took art.
Oh, that sounds so scary.
Yeah.
They don't sound like they go hand to hand at all, though.
Yeah,
if
like
you
it
put it
was-
in Malaysian context, right?
Yeah.
Everybody would be asking like, why are you doing?
Why are you doing all of this? And then you took
Yeah,
art.
You're
And then
right.
I took classical studies as well. I didn't even know what classical studies
I was
was.
gonna ask. Can
And
you
that,
like
and that was
explain
why,
what?
and that
yeah.
was why I did it, because I
Okay.
didn't know what it was. Well, at
So
that time
yeah.
it was talking about the Greek. The books that I studied were about Greek mythologies,
Okay.
and it was about Medea. It was about the drama and the play, what goes on in.
So
the
you're talking
drama.
about like Homer
Yes,
and
I'm
the
talking
likes
about
and those
Homer,
more,
yeah, like-
not Simpson guys.
No,
like, the
No.
Odyssey,
Yeah, like Iliad and all that
Iliad
kind
and
of
all
stuff.
that. Okay.
So
okay.
it was very interesting for me because I'm like, okay, I'm looking at literature in a different way. Because when we learned literature in English, for me at least, it was more like, this is a story. It had a moral. And that was it, really. Like,
That was
remember we
it,
had
eh?
short stories.
Okay.
Remember in school we had short
Yes,
stories.
we did.
And then they had
BM,
like
you had the same.
yeah,
kind
and
of
then
neat-
you had to talk about like
the English bits. Yep.
yeah. Besides the like format of it, you talk about what you can learn from it, and then you have the poem side, and they were all like either about nature or about Shakespeare, which is
Shakespeare,
beautiful.
yeah.
But I felt like a lot of people couldn't relate to that because it wasn't. I felt like not a lot of students really related to the poem aspect.
In New Zealand or here?
Here,
Or here,
in
you're right.
here, yeah. I don't know.
I understand. No. I know what you mean.
I
know what you
related to it
mean.
because I
Yeah.
genuinely had an interest. But
Yeah.
if you didn't, I know a lot of children who slept during.
Yeah, no, okay,
in
and
English.
that's legit though. But I guess that goes back to what's relevant as well, right? You
Yeah.
know, if it's not relevant to you, why would you show any kind of interest?
Yeah. And there was no linking.
There
I
is no
think.
linking. That is the
Yeah.
bigger issue actually. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily that okay, I don't get Greek mythology, but
Yeah.
where is the link, right?
Yeah.
So I remember growing up, I love Greek mythology, you know,
Mhm.
and that was something that was almost a taboo to say out loud because like Greek
Yeah.
mythology has like gods and apa
Yeah,
semua,
and gods in plural.
gods in plural.
Yeah.
It wasn't really aligned to the Islamic kind of teachings.
Yeah.
And it was weirder because, like I was still into like the Islamic punya teachings too.
Mhm,
I didn't felt like it was contradictory that I
Yeah.
like this one because it gives this
Yeah.
aspect or
Yeah.
this perspective.
Yeah.
But most people will look at it and just go like you're like lost.
Yeah,
Or like you're
like-
you're
Antithetical,
confused.
yeah,
or,
yeah. Like,
So how
don't,
do
this
you
is shirik. Like,
Exactly.
you can't, or what was it called? Like,
It's-
blasphemy.
It's
because-
blasphemy. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
blasphemous.
Which
that
I-
family.
I don't know. I felt like it's very that in itself I think is contradicting with Islamic values because I feel like
In what way? Sorry.
in what way
Yeah, like,
is in like the first thing we were told to do was to
read.
read
Right.
to
okay.
read or to learn. You
Okay.
know? So I think the more you read about things like that, I don't think it will hinder you from your religion
It's true.
per se, because your
Your-
foundation is from home, right? Like, I mean, surely someone can tell.
Of course, yeah.
That is your own personal growth, I feel,
Yeah.
but it's maybe not spoken enough in here.
Maybe,
Yeah.
probably not. Yeah, but okay. So just going back to macam.
Yeah, let's not go off topic.
Yeah, your
That's a
your
different
own.
topic.
I know, right? I know. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But it's going back to your own experience with say arts right now.
Yeah.
So in New Zealand, for example, what do you think was the major difference? Why was that allowed? Why
Okay.
was that both sides allowed in New Zealand? And you think here we're trying to separate the two
Yeah.
as like
I think maybe we separate the two because we don't understand. Maybe this is my opinion. Maybe we don't understand how the two can coexist. Whereas in New Zealand or in first world countries, I feel maybe they allow their children to take charge of their own learning. Like, this is what I want to do. Your creative freedom, your freedom to choose what you want to learn and what you're interested in. Because I think it's pretty obvious that if you're interested in something, you want to learn it, right? So if I'm not interested in biology for say, I'm gonna fail it, And the reason why I would do well is either because I go to a lot of tuition or crash course, or I'm just trying to live my parents' expectations.
ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of children can relate
They
to
do
that.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to live up to my parents'
expectations.
expectations.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's a conversation that is very hard to have, especially in an Asian household.
Ooh, okay. So that's
yeah.
interesting, because then you're saying that education is not just limited to the four walls of the schools.
Yeah.
You know, it goes back to the home environment.
Well, it
and
goes
the
back to
setting
society,
as well.
right?
It goes back
Like,
to society,
because
all of us.
if let's say every single person in Malaysia is against both streams, like just two streams, they want it to be like
More
you
holistic.
can maybe school should be like a university setting where you go to the classes and you have your own timetable and this is what's happening in this classes. You know what I mean? Like, so that if you want to break the two streams, right? Because sometimes you stay in the class and the teacher goes to you.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And I think the only time I ever left my class was when I need to go to the science lab or to the chem lab. That was the only time that we all moved from our home class to a different class. But what if we all had different timetables? Like,
everybody would.
Yes.
Because
like,
you can pick your subjects.
Yes, you can pick your subjects. So what if that, instead of having one class, you actually have different classes?
Okay, so the argument I think some people would have over that is that how would you manage something like that? You know, is that difficult to manage, for example, or?
I haven't really well, to me, I feel like it's always going to be difficult the first time, after a change, right? But it's been done. So
I was gonna say, are there countries that do it? Scandinavian type.
And even in New Zealand, they have lockers, so children have lockers.
For high school.
Yeah, for high school.
Okay.
You have lockers, and you put your textbooks in there, and then you move from one classroom, like American schools.
American schools, yeah.
American schools, they do that.
They do that. With all their problems, I think that's still quite a good system that they practice.
Exactly, and it's also it's very easy. Like, that's how it was in university, where I needed to move to different classes. I needed to be disciplined to go to my class. And if it's something that I'm not interested in, then I won't go.
You're not gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously attendance you can still take there's still a role for you to take.
Of course, yeah. So it's not gonna be that complete of a nightmare.
Yeah, and
because it's not like a free for all, complete chaos or anything.
Exactly, and
it's a system.
I think it's good for children to move. I feel it's good.
True.
You get stuck. I mean, you get stuck before recess. Yeah, what, 3-4 hours before recess?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. About 3-4 hours before recess.
Right, and because I finished school at 3.
Wait,
I was
where?
in 3KL, so I finished school.
Oh, 3KL.
Yeah,
You and I have completely different experiences.
Yeah.
Which I know.
No, but I went to government school and then I went to 3KL.
Ah.
So I went to Subang Tamu, then I went to 3KL. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had experiences in both. So if you finish at 1, your recess is at 10, right? 10 to 11, 10:30, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
And you go to school at 7:30.
7:30.
So you have 3 hours before your break.
Right.
3 hours for someone young to just sit down and listen and write. I feel like it's so.
It
so
doesn't
draining.
work for everybody, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I feel like people just need to get out and move a bit, breathe a bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. Yeah, no, you're right though, because for me, I don't know about you, right? But in university, I felt like one of my times that I've learned the most was during university, because there was that freedom.
Yeah.
To kind of and it wasn't complete freedom the way people think.
No.
Like you say, you need some sense of responsibility that I have a class next day, so therefore I shouldn't be out late tonight, right?
Yeah, take responsibility for your learning.
Learning, exactly.
For your own learning as well.
Yeah.
And that's what in New Zealand. That's what I did. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this because I couldn't do this when I was in Malaysia.
Okay.
So when I did do that, I learned so much. Wow, who I am as a person. Because you finally found something that I didn't have to struggle. I struggled with a lot of things,
While you were here.
While I was here. Mainly because I didn't understand. I loved calculus. I was really good at it. But I only understood.
You're probably the first person I know who has
ever
said,
calculus.
I love calculus.
Oh my God.
The rest of the world are hating.
It's my favorite thing in the world to do.
Oh my
I used to just do calculus
God.
because I hated biology so much. I used to just do calculus to de-stress.
To de-stress?
To de-stress when I was a kid, yeah.
What?
I still miss maths. I still miss maths, But that's my major is mathematics and psychology, so yeah.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, because I love maths. I love maths. I could talk about it for days. But
all right, okay,
so I felt
it
really allowed me to understand myself. Allowed me to really explore different skills that I had, different skills that I could develop. I learned etching, molding. I learned how to make printmaking, all these things, all in art class. And it was 2 hours, and I mean, I learned to also think for myself, because you at the end of the whole semester you need to provide a 3 big A3 type board, and it has to make sense. Like it's your whole exhibition almost. It's like an exhibition of all the students' artwork. And at the time I was really interested in religion and how it played a part in someone's life.
Yeah, okay, so I was just gonna ask that, do you think religion should be part of education then? Because I know we're in very circular times where people feel like there should be a complete separation.
I mean, I understand
religion.
Parents are really busy now.
Okay.
Like, I grew up, my dad was working, and so you can expect it's the responsibility of it is the responsibility of the parents to obviously you could send your child to sekolah agama or like whatever.
Cool.
But I mean, I think it is convenient for agama class to be in school.
You're right.
But I also think the content more than anything, whether it's there or not, I feel like I have no strong opinions about it, but I feel like the content of what we're teaching kids has to be really important.
It's content,
it's really
execution as well,
execution
maybe?
and maybe understanding as well, because when I was in high school, it was very upsetting. I don't know whether we should even talk about this.
I don't know actually, but like
you can edit out and you
can
realize it.
no. Okay, look, I think how's this? When you talk about religion right now, right? I think in the context of whether it's relevant to education. I understand that in high school we had experiences that were probably not very nice.
Or Islamic, I feel.
Exactly.
Because I feel like when the most about Islam that I learned was in New Zealand.
I see.
Ooh, okay. And that's really, I don't know whether that's sad or it was enlightening for me in New Zealand. Maybe because I was able to take my time.
Sure.
I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't meeting someone else's expectations.
You didn't have to rush.
Only meeting mine, like how much I wanted to give, and it's really hard here. Like, as soon as you turn 12, you're like forced to put on a hijab, or and I feel like these are very sensitive topics. You can't just simply talk about it.
I understand.
It's
there's
really,
so many dimensions to it.
Yeah, it's not as easy as like. Well, obviously she shouldn't, because she doesn't want to.
Sure.
It's a lot more complex than
a
that.
bit more.
People need to be really sensitive when they talk about this, and So for me, just as education, just talking about religion as an education, I felt like I definitely was able to find more information at my own pace, and to my own understanding. Because everyone develops
different
kind
of
speed,
understanding,
right? Some people might get it like that. Like calculus for me was like that. Most people maybe not like that. Maybe they needed to sit down for it and think about it for a bit,
Years.
Yeah.
Probably just to get the simplest equation, okay?
So for me, it was like I had time to digest things. I had time to question, and I think that was key. Was I had the opportunity to question. Yeah, I don't think most children question much.
Because we're not taught to. We're not encouraged to.
And that's the old way of education, right?
Yeah. I remember that I stopped asking questions because at 7, I raised my hand up and basically the whole class looked at me like.
And it's so uncomfortable.
Like you're an idiot for not knowing.
Or
and you're
why
just
are you asking questions like
exactly,
this?
Exactly, So it's just not cool, So I don't know. I mean, education, I suppose. Yeah, the whole point of it is not just answering exams and getting all the answers right. You have to think about it, who you become at the end of the day as well, right? So that is the point of education, which is why it's important for you to be able to ask questions when it comes to religion, for example. Instead of just like, these are the answers and
that's it.
That's it.
What is your definition of education? I feel like we should start with that first. Like,
that's
what is your definition of
an education? Yeah.
Is it just a report card that has all A's in it, or is it something deeper than that? And from what I've gained, education for me is not just me understanding or being able to answer questions in exams, but it's me being able to gain skills and knowledge at a deeper level, so that even if I can't answer it in the exam, maybe I can translate that into into real life.
Real life, yeah, because that's by the end of the day, that's it, right?
Yeah.
That's about...
It's transferable skills.
Exactly,
or maybe like
exactly.
in my head, I didn't see art and science as two separate things. I saw it as
It's one.
Not one.
No, it's complementary.
There's an overlap, or there are things that you can connect with, and in my head there's like this cobweb of things, you know. So everything's related, and I think it plays back to like science, where if you want to remember something, you gotta link it to many things, so that the synapses in your brain, like, you know, they're all like connected to each other and stuff like that.
Sure.
So for me, it's like when I think about this. Like this cup, for example, I'm like, okay, it's red. I know what is red because I saw an apple that was
like
red. Like, you know, I have like I link things, you know.
That goes.
Yeah. So my learning isn't like.
It's not just
it's not
one
like
direction.
Linear. Yeah, it's like it goes up and down, left and right, and you know.
I see.
All these things happen. So.
And it's not just even up and down. It's the way you're describing it. It means like there's wires that go here and that way,
and they're all like intertwined in some ways, and
it's
a beautiful thing that happens in your brain, when you can relate like maths and psych, for example. For me, it is so obvious, like you know, like, and they're like, oh, but how does numbers relate to, you know, human behavior, for example? And for me, it's like, well, it's not the numbers, it's the skills that I've learned in maths.
I see.
You know what I mean? It's the underlying things that I learned in maths. It's the questions that I have to ask through understanding maths.
I see. Yeah.
Like, what did I do?
Problem solving as well.
Yes, and creativity. Because I mean, you're given a problem. I learned things in like the 10th dimension, right? Like there are dimensions that you just calculate stuff in like nth dimension, and you can't even think about these. Like, what do you mean 10th dimension?
I was gonna say that, dude.
Propose
like,
this. You have this. Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like maybe if you didn't have the creativity to manipulate the formula, you wouldn't know how to solve that problem.
I see.
Like, if this particle is moving in this space, and how does it move? You know.
I see.
Yeah, stuff like that, and it makes sense to me in psychology, because then I'm asking what happened here.
Right.
Like if someone came up to me, be like, if you're doing clinical psych, you know, be like, what's the problem? Yeah. So it's the same now. Like in maths, what's the problem actually? What am I trying to solve? You know, those things that link together.
It is. And you're training your brain basically to look at a problem and to come up with solutions.
Yes.
You take that to real life. That's basically our whole life.
Yes.
You know, we're just constantly looking for solutions and coming up. You know, we're troubleshooting every other day.
Exactly, and I learned that through maths. So, you know, that skill was something that I learned.
You see, you learned that through maths, right? You know, for me personally, I'm really bad at maths, or maybe I've not even explored that, so that's why I think I'm bad in maths. But something similar would be...
Are you bad at maths, or you don't understand it?
I think could be the second one.
Yeah,
could be the second one, right? Yeah, it could be. It could be. Yeah.
Because most teachers, I'm a teacher, so I understand the pressure that is on a teacher.
I see.
Like,
to help the student to see.
Not just help the student. Okay, you have parents' expectations. You have your own management, like the school's expectations. You have the ministry's expectations, and you have a syllabus.
All this different, yeah.
Yeah, that comprises a lot. You know, a lot, and you're trying to meet everyone's expectations, and I think we need to ask ourselves what is our priority, like who should we prioritize first?
Right.
You know, because parents want different things, your management wants different things, the ministry wants different things, and I feel like somewhere it gets lost, like what is good for the child.
Kids. Yeah, it makes sense.
I don't know whether you experience this, but like I've experienced it in high school where teachers just brush through literally one day, one chapter.
Yeah.
One day, and I'm like, what is going on?
Exactly.
Because if you ask, you're interrupting.
Yeah. And
then you don't really have the initiative to want to, you know what? Can we have extra classes? Because no one wants to stay in school longer than they have to.
True. You want to play basketball and stuff after school.
But you would rather go to tuition. That's a different question.
Weird thing. Yeah. No, but tuition is like a social thing.
Yeah, but also
true.
It is like a social thing, and I feel like teachers at tuition are so much better.
Yeah, because they're paid higher.
Yeah.
They're probably happier people.
Yeah, right.
So,
but there are school teachers too, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
most of them, I think, are used to be school teachers or used to be
Yeah.
MRSM teachers or something like that, and then they.
Yeah.
going to tuition.
Yeah, that's true, but that's what it is. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of things, especially when it comes to maths, people don't understand it, which is why it's hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But going back to the topic, like we always get off topic.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
The two abolishing both streams, I think, is good. Or maybe it's because of the way I learned it. My personal experiences, I would have loved to be able to choose my subjects, and I would have been able to broaden my horizon a little bit more, as opposed to just sticking to science stream or just sticking to art stream.
Just limited to a very
to two streams, because I feel like we're all individuals with different needs and with different interests. So maybe abolishing those two streams and making it, open would create more diversity, more.
Another way to look at it is not even like an abolishing. It's more of bringing it together, letting it overlap, right? Because I think abolishing has this word that people have this weird
like
idea
that
people would think that you're destroying something that has like work. Like,
2 days ago, I read on the news that they're like, they're in no hurry to abolish the two streams.
Yes. So they're in no hurry.
Yeah,
but I guess with the fact that somebody has brought it forward, it's already a good sign and it's a good step. But we have to keep pushing for it, though.
Yeah, I mean,
think that's
and I don't know, maybe it's just me. I feel like words. You can. I mean, when you say something like that,
you have to be serious about it.
Yeah, you have to be serious about it.
That's fair.
I mean, because I think in the news, the Ministry of Education was like, this is something for the future.
Yeah, but when is the future? Right?
Yeah, and I'm like, but what about students now? What if they're struggling now?
Exactly.
I don't know what the statistics are recently, but I think back in, like, when my dad was alive, he was fighting for polytechnic schools because my eldest brother, actually, he's not the kind who would sit down and read a book or, like, study. He needed to, like, he needed structure in his life. He needed to have a lot of sports. So he had a lot of energy, and he couldn't just sit down and, like, just read. Like, I could do that for days, but he can't do that. So he's just wired a different way, and there's nothing wrong with him.
Of course,
it's just that, his learning took a different route to
comes from a very physical.
Yes, he needs to hands-on, like things that you can, like, manipulate. I need to see the differences in front of my face, or this energy I need to burn, and I needed, like, one-to-one tutoring, stuff like that. And he did really well, but he didn't succeed in government school. In government school, it was too like, you need to sit down, and then the only time that he could go out was during recess for like 30 minutes or something.
30 minutes
like
of recess, and
then you go back inside for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing wrong with government schools, or it's not like private schools are better or anything like that. It's just more of some things work better for some people, and we really have to be able to be open to discuss that at least, right?
And what my point was with that was that, like, there were a lot of dropouts.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of dropouts
in high school.
In high school.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that high school, like, government schools are bad. I'm just saying that I think it shows by.
We have a lot to work on.
And education is something that we should definitely work on first. Thing to do is to work on education, because if children's needs are met at school, if you feel safe at school, then I wouldn't want to do anything elsewhere that is harming.
That's true. You wouldn't want to go out.
If I have support in
school, you have
school,
enough interest. Please. Okay.
School is fun enough. School is interesting enough. Because I remember my parents used to tell me we loved going to school. My parents used to tell me we loved going to school because they learned, like, world history. They learned about
so much to just
it's so different. Their education was just so different to ours.
Oh, okay. And that was what
my mom
70s?
went to school, like, 70s.
The 70s? Okay. I think my mom said something similar too. The subjects they learned was a lot more interesting.
Yeah, and they learned about a lot of drama. They had, like, a lot of dance. They had a lot of it was more fluid, I think.
I suppose so. Yeah.
That was at least from my own parents'
that's
experience.
It's true.
So maybe that's something that we need to think about.
Definitely.
And I think that it's important for children to be able to choose what they want. And I understand parents as well, because when I want to do fine arts at university.
Mm-mm.
I had an Asian dad. I think that says a lot. That did not happen, obviously.
Okay, it's fair.
He said, but he wasn't mean about it. He wasn't like.
He wasn't encouraging.
It's not that he wasn't encouraging. He was more. I think I got it easier than most people.
Okay.
Most people, I think, from my friends, I heard them. Their parents would say like, "What are you gonna do painting?" Like,
okay.
Like, what is that? Like, so you can express your feelings. Like, you know, like, how are you gonna put food on the table with that?
Yes, yeah. It's tough, yeah. It's tough. You get that.
Whereas my dad was more like, do you think this is a sustainable choice for the future? So he made me think for myself. He didn't like condescend me. He didn't like diminish my choice.
Sure.
Of choosing what I wanted, but he was just like, maybe you should think about it a bit more and think about whether or not this is really what you want. Because if you take fine arts, he's like, take something else, like take, I don't know, digital something. Because at the time when I was going to university, anything digital was just booming, right? And I was in New Zealand, which is the best to do anything like motion or animation. I just felt like it was just.
It's a good place.
It was a good place to do that. Like Avatar was set and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe I didn't do fine arts because my dad was like, you can always grow, like your skill as an artist.
You can grow, yeah, that's fair. But, and it goes with anything as well.
Yeah, but when you're learning about things like this, it's not that when you're older you get dumber. It's just that it's harder. It's harder for you to absorb so much information at one time. So he was like, you're in 20. So you want to maximize everything that you can learn.
That's good. I think, when it comes to the topic again of between the streams and us choosing courses and education and stuff, is that end of the day, you like to come back to that theme of choice, right? I think all of us definitely need that choice, and we need to discuss and we need to kind of figure out what are the next step forward, because even education needs to be, as you say, redefined, right? So I think for now, we're going to give this a wrap. If you want last final thoughts or words to the audience, or
well, I think more than giving them option or the choice, I think it's also trusting them that they know themselves,
that they will have this.
Because I feel like allowing someone to choose is trusting them that they know what they want.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that is
the bigger thing.
Bigger thing. It gives the child a bit more confidence in themselves, I feel. That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So,
hope you
guys,
enjoyed all of that.
this was another serious video that I've done. Usually, I talk about zombies and movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So the past 2 videos has been fun. It's been a big education on my part, at least, for bringing in smarter people than myself onto the show. Guys, so please, if you like the video, leave a comment, ask us any questions. If you want to see Amelia in the next one, we can talk about other stuff too.
I'm sorry if I said something offensive.
No worries,
sorry
guys.
About that.
Yeah, please, chill out,
like
guys. It's a conversation. That's about it, right? So we're not. We're open to new ideas and discuss, and tell us if we said anything wrong or if you disagree with us, right? So anyway, that's it for now, guys, and thank you very much. Bye.